Just a week ago, one of the most historic upsets in CONCACAF history transpired in Las Vegas' Allegiant Stadium. The United States beat Mexico in the 2021 Gold Cup final, with a headed goal from Miles Robinson in the dying minutes of extra time sealing the deal. Greg Berhalter's side was filled with mostly MLS-based players, while El Tri was mainly comprised of their best players who were fit at the time. So what made the match so difficult for Mexico to win? And what underlying larger issues is the Mexican national team and their entire footballing setup being faced with? Ladies and gentlemen, this is a crisis that we will need to dive a bit deeper into to see what exactly will transpire for this football-loving nation going forward. But before I get into that, I would just like to say that this is my first video that I will have uploaded on this channel. So if you're watching for the first time, I just want to wish you a warm welcome. And I want to talk a bit on what this channel is going to be about going forward for a minute or two. So if you're not interested in that, you're more than welcome to skip ahead. But if you like the USMNT or CONCACAF, North America, football, soccer, whatever you call it, just the sport in general, I highly recommend that you stick around and maybe you can give me some advice or topic-related video ideas in the comments below, which would be greatly appreciated. Right, so I'm an American, so I'll most likely devote a lot of this channel's time to making videos surrounding the USMNT, but obviously that's not going to be all. Over the past few months, I've really gained a huge fascination with CONCACAF and football, or soccer as my compatriots like to call it, in North America, so I plan on making a great deal of videos about other nations in the region as well. As you can tell by the title, this is one of those videos. I just want to do a general overview of the national teams in CONCACAF that'll include match analysis, player analysis, creating best 11s and 23-man squads, predictions when the tournaments and World Cup qualifying come around, as well as some storytime videos about some of these national teams from the past, like the Canadian team that won the Gold Cup in 2000, or the memorable run that Los Ticos, the Costa Rican national team, had in the 2014 World Cup. As for the USMNT videos, I will do all that I mentioned already, plus maybe some individual analysis of players abroad, as well as other stuff. But this is just such an exciting time for the region in footballing terms, so I cannot leave any of it out. Also, I want to stress that I'll mainly focus on the national teams of the region, and not so much on the club competitions. Like the CONCACAF Champions League, I won't be covering that all that much at all. I might do an MLS themed video here or there, but I don't really follow any of the clubs. Like Liga MX, I don't really know much about Liga MX at all on a broad scale. But yeah, that's basically it. Obviously, I'm just writing the script right now, so I have no clue how the turnout for this video will be or how inevitably bad the audio and picture quality will be, but I really hope that the information, knowledge, and opinions that I share with y'all can be adequate for your liking, and hopefully I can do more of these in the future. Finally, please leave a like and subscribe if you've made it this far, since you clearly care for this channel. If you don't like or subscribe, I'll send Jackson Ewell to your house. Legend has it that he's lethal and deadly everywhere he goes, except for when he's on a football pitch. Just a bit of deserved slander there, nothing wrong with that. Anyways, without further ado, see what I did there? Yeah? No? What, was it just not funny? Yeah, I guess it's that. Yeah, let's just get into what y'all have been waiting for. The crisis of El Tri. Tata Martino. Oh, Tata. This man has a hell of a job to do if he doesn't want to get sacked by the FAMF. I remember lots of people talking about him getting the boot if Mexico didn't win the Gold Cup, despite being the clear favorites. Clearly some stuff has gone wrong in the way Mexican football is played at its highest level, so let's take a look at that. The main, glaring, obvious problem with Mexican football comes in the form of two words: player development. Most of what I will talk about will stem directly from those two loud, resonating words. Say it with me. Player development. That's right. Look at Mexico's supposed prospects. Efrain Alvarez, the guy who swapped the chance to play with Pulisic and McKennie to play with Luis Romo and Alan Pulido instead. Yeah, sure, he's 19. Jose Juan Macias, the guy that managed to get a move to the La Liga side Getafe this summer. Yeah, okay, he's 21. But that's about it.
everybody else who's considered a prospect on this team that has a good chance of making it into the L3 squad tends to be over the age of 23, which in footballing terms is not that young anymore, is it? Edson Alvarez, who's considered the hottest young prospect in the country at the moment, is 23 years of age. Uriel Antuna is just as old. Chucky Lozano is still probably being told by some that he'll have an extremely bright future. But how old is he again? He's 26. That's insane. The babyface is very deceiving, by the way. Good Christ, though, even Orbelin Pineda and Eric Gutierrez are 25 and 26 years old, respectively, and even Gerardo Arteaga is a month off turning 23 himself. These are Mexico's top prospects, lads that are in their younger mid-20s. Just for comparison, let's look at the USMNT. You know, the team that L3 manhandled over the last half century. Let's just compare the two real quick. Let me just read off some names. Tim Weah, Josh Sargent, Chris Richards, Mark McKenzie, Christian Pulisic, Weston McKinney, Tyler Adams, Anthony Robinson. They're all 23 or younger. Now, Yunus Musa, Serginho Dest, Brendan Aronson, Conrad De La Fuente, Uli Yanez, Justin Che, Gianluca Busio, Gio Reyna. They're all 20 and younger. All of them are in contention to play for the USMNT, and that's just naming a few. No one over the age of 29 stepped onto the field for the US at the Gold Cup in 2021. El Tri, on the other hand, had 7 guys that fit that description that played in the final match alone. Now, of course, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having seasoned veterans on the team. They bring experience and knowledge that may be crucial to win an important match like the Gold Cup final, and I have the utmost respect for guys like Alfredo Talavera, who had his chance to shine getting out of Memo Ochoa's shadow at the age of 38. But it's good to have younger players that are hungry to squeeze aging veterans out of the roster. Competitive spark is imperative in matches like that. Let's focus on something else now, while remaining on the same broad topic here. You know, those 2 words, player development. 2 magic words. Those words tie into something on a much larger scale than just the national team. Player development in Mexico as a whole has completely changed over the past few years. Liga MX and the FAMF are never all too keen on sending players overseas to Europe. Now, this has its upsides and its downsides. It's a positive because keeping the better Mexican players in Mexico will strengthen the domestic league, but negative because it really stunts the growth of all Mexican players as a whole, which will put El Tri in imminent and certain decline in the next few years. Pretty much any league in Europe is undeniably more competitive than Liga MX, pretty much no matter where you play, as long as you're good enough to make it there. And as I mentioned before, competitive spark is integral to a team's success, especially for the younger players. Over time, as the national team declines, kids growing up in Mexico will inevitably become more disinterested overall, so it really isn't good for them in the long run as well. I'm not saying that all of Mexico's best players play domestically. That's obviously not true. Like, there's so many good guys, Raul Jimenez, Jesus Corona, Chucky Lozano, but I'm just saying that the FAMF should expand. They should be more open to letting their players develop elsewhere to and even inspire the next generation in the process. Again, let's draw comparisons to the MLS, okay? At the time of recording, yesterday alone, Sam Vines was transferred to Royal Antwerp in Belgium, and Gianluca Busio and the Canadian Tejon Buchanan are also reportedly finalizing deals for Venezia in Serie A and Club Brugge in Belgium, respectively. For reference, the last time a Liga MX player made a European move was on July the 15th of this year, when the 31-year-old Dionisio Escalante of San Luis signed for a club in the Spanish 3rd tier. Really? Again, it's crazy. Things need to change, man. Otherwise, El Tri fans might want to kiss the days of Chicharito, Rafa Marquez, and Hugo Sanchez goodbye. Now, let's talk a little bit about the man that has been getting all of the heat lately, Tata Martino. He began coaching the Mexican national team in 2019, a year after he won the MLS Cup title with Atlanta United in just their second year of play. In the same year he was appointed, Martino managed to beat the United States 1-0 in the Gold Cup final, making Mexico 8-time champions of the trophy since the Gold Cup era began. Since then, he has not found much success at all at the international level, losing to the United States twice this summer in major finals. Martino's tactics and player management have come into play because, well, he is the manager and that's his job. He's a tactician, he has to manage his players. But again, let's quickly compare him with his American counterpart, Greg Berhalter. I think a lot of my fellow USMNT fans can agree when I say that Berhalter's implemented tactics are not the best, and I'm sure even Berhalter knows that they are not where they should be at this point in time. But one thing that really impressed me during the Nations League and the Gold Cup, especially the Gold Cup, it was his player management. He seemed to be more on his toes when it came to necessary changes and substitutions in the squad. And not only that, he participated and involved himself as part of the team, not just some overruling egotistical deity. I'm not saying that's what Tata is, but just Berhalter was very human. It's as if he was one of the players, and that motivated his players even more. Mexico, on the other hand, they seemed to stop playing about an hour into the Gold Cup final, and the tide completely turned into the favor of Greg Berhalter's side. Martino brought out a lot of older players for that match, which, if I'm completely honest, they were very unlucky in the first half for not scoring at least once. But Rogelio Funes Mori, the fraudulent Argentine, he really should have buried half of his chances, but their mentalities got the better of them, and they began to play very sluggishly after the 60th minute. I'll talk a bit about their mentalities a little more in a minute, but during the extra time huddles, the USMNT looked so much more lively than even before the match started, while El Tri's body language shot out a whole lot of negativity and neglect. Contrasting attitudes like that will completely change the tide of a match of this gravity. Now, is it entirely down to Tata Martino? Is it completely his fault? Of course not, but he certainly has a huge role to play, not just tactically, but pushing his players to get the best out of them. In situations like this, tactics won't matter if your players don't have the right mindset. And if he can't push his players to do their best, then the FAMF will have some serious things to consider going into World Cup qualifying. One last problem that I'd briefly like to touch upon is the hype from the Mexican media. Again, I'm not Mexican, so I don't quite know the gravity of what the media and people are really feeling about this team, but this is what I've gathered. Over time, Mexico has become an undeniable beast in the CONCACAF region and has absolutely dominated in the last half century. Of course, the national media will be biased no matter what, but long periods of reign like that of El Tri will make it even worse. That hype inevitably translates into the minds of the players, and they'll be going up against, say, an MLS-based side, and they'll be thinking, oh yeah, this is easy, we'll beat them. Nice, fat old W. But with their stagnant playstyle to complement this mindset, it'll only lead to bad results on the biggest stage.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know in the comments how the FAMF can maybe try to fix these problems. And of course, please leave a like and subscribe. Help a homie out. It'll be huge for the growth of this channel. Oh, and I heard that Mexico won bronze at the Olympics. That's great. I'm just kidding. Who cares? Goodbye. Nah, I'm just playing. But congrats to them. And I hope you all enjoyed the video. And I'll see y'all as soon as possible.